Tromso, a northern city in Norway located within the Arctic Circle, welcomes hundreds of scientists and government officials from all over the world around this time of year. They spend a few days discussing the future of the Arctic, an issue that Norway has been taking seriously for over a decade, and a discussion that more countries, including Korea, are keen to join lately. The Korea JoongAng Daily attended the Arctic Frontiers last month. We have put together a highlight reel of key conversations at the conference, as well as our findings on what Korea may be doing in the ocean located thousands of miles away.
Climate change is the single greatest accelerant in the geopoliticization of the Arctic. It's witnessed Russia's military buildup in the region, also the increasingly aggressive stance of the Trump administration. The good old days in which Arctic cooperation enjoyed a relative immunity from troubles elsewhere, those days are over, ladies and gentlemen. And chief among such arrangements might be a new Arctic treaty. Such a treaty would not just cover scientific and environmental issues, but also include political and security provisions. It would, among other things, encompass rules, freedom of navigation, force deployments, and security confidence building measures.
The policy that we are pursuing, together also with all other Arctic states, is that the framework that we have is actually both viable, but is also sufficient to cover what we have at the moment. I'm very uneased by the idea that we should start making new treaties or new legal framework, because I don't think there is a need for it. And I think that what we have to continue to do is actually put a lot of emphasis into the cooperation that we have, as we did through the period of the Cold War, as we did.
If you want to look at the internationalization of the Arctic, look no further than the Northern Sea Route. Direct investment from China, massive builds up at oil and gas productivity. We've got Chinese markets open, Asian markets open, oil tankers, or ice-reinforced oil tankers built in the shipyards of South Korea, financed by other nations. I mean, this is the new Arctic. So yes, it is literally redefining the way in which we view the Arctic, because even though it was an energy-rich place before, now because of sea ice melt, that whole area is more accessible.
제가 2013년부터 에임의 워킹그룹에 한국 대표로 참석하고 있는데요. 처음에는 별로 그쪽에서 기대를 안 하시는 것 같았어요. 그런데 이제 제가 지속적으로 참석을 하고 또 우리의 모니터링 결과 혹은 상황을 보고를 하고 하다 보니까 관심을 갖고 또 우리 쪽의 자료를 제출해 주기를 원하더라고요.
우리나라의 강점은 이제 아까 말씀드렸듯이 IT 기술, 과학 기술에 우리가 이제 강점을 가지고 있다고 생각하고, 또 기후 변화 연구에 있어서도 그 해빙 감소가 이 아시아, 그 동아시아에서 한파로 이어진다는 것도 이렇게 있고, 또 기후 변화에서 우리가 또 열심히 또 연구자들이 활동을 하고 있고요. 또 이제 우리 조선 해양 항만 기술이 많이 발달해서 러시아의 또 세빙 LNG 운반선 수출에서 이제 전달을 주고 있고, 그래서 항만이라든가 또 해운 쪽에 우리가 역할이 좀 있다고 하고, 전반적으로 이제 그런 과학 연구 이런 부분에서 우리가 역할이 좀 되고 있습니다. 노르웨이가 이제 북극의 이제 8개 국가 중에서도 또 해안을 가지고 있는 북극 5, 아크틱 5 국가 중에 하나인데요. 특히 이제 노르웨이는 이제 트롬소에 북극 이사의 3국이 있고, 그래서 우리나라 연구자들이 이제 트롬소에 이제 와서 같이 협력하고, 또 스발바르에 다산 과학 기지가 있습니다. 작년 6월에 우리 문재인 대통령께서 이제 노르웨이를 방문하셨을 때 우리나라 극지연구소하고 해양수산 개발하고 또 이쪽 노르웨이 극지연구소가 다른 기관 5개 기관의 어떤 그런 합의해서 그것이 이제 작년도 이제 12월에 부산에서 개최된 북극 협력 주간 그 계기로 해서 한 노르웨이 한 협의회를 개최했었습니다. 그런 거를 바탕으로 해서 북극 프론티어를 매년 이제 노르웨이에서 개최하고 있는데 북극 프론티어 기간 중에 우리가 또 어떤 사이드 이벤트라든가 그런 계기를 통해서 이 어떤 목소리를 반영할 수 있는 그런 세션을 만들어서 지금 협력 협의를 하고 있습니다. 협력 여지가 많다고 보고 있습니다. 한중일은 특히 이제 똑같이 업적어 국가로서 같은 연도에 가입을 했고 또 이제 과학연구라든가 기후변화 이슈에 있어서도 서로 이제 공감대를 갖고 그런 걸 하고 있고 특히 이제 LNG 같은 부분 가스 1, 2, 3이 수입 국가입니다. 자원 개발에 있어서도 또 국권 경제 진출에 있어서도 공동의 이해를 갖고 있어서 그런 부분이 협력할 점이 많고 또 한중일 그 협력의 그런 활동에 대해서 또 이 북극 이사회 국가들이나 다른 나라들도 많은 관심을 갖고 또 지켜보고 있습니다.
We have a lot because China and Korea are our next door neighbor countries, and why don't we collaborate together? That's from my own point of view.
Youth are currently leading the climate movement, yet we still have to fight to get a seat at the table. We have learned to expect nothing but business as usual from our leaders. I have hope that this will change.
Our group as emerging leaders in the Arctic as part of this study tour, we are going to be advocating for the creation of an Arctic Youth Council as part of the broader Arctic Council. And actually what we'd like to see is for youth to actually get remunerated for that work so that it puts the work on the same level as other professionals who are older. But we want to see that this is actually valorized by becoming part of the mandate of the Arctic Council. That way we have a direct way to feed into those policy discussions like we have in Canada.
One of the highlights of the Arctic Frontiers Emerging Leaders program has been that the program has brought together youth from not only different countries but also the private sector, the public sector, academia, and we all come with different personal and professional interests. So you have individuals who work in oil and gas, in renewables, who are focused on the social science side and government policy pieces. So it really has created a holistic view of the circumpolar Arctic and looking at a myriad of issues and their complexities.
I think it's interesting. I think youth have always been interested in this. I think we're just finally being heard. And I would say that's thanks to Greta, who's really speaking for youth on an international stage. And I think we can use this movement to add our voices to that, to say that this is one of the most important issues that is facing our generation, and we need to be heard.
And I think that, and I thank you for saying, talking about Greta, but there are a lot of movements already happening in Canada and around the world that are youth-led. Greta happens to have the stage right now, but she's not the only one who's working on getting us a place at the table of recognizing that climate change is an emergency, a global emergency, and there are programs all around the world that are doing that, and they're on the ground actually implementing youth-based solutions and nature-based solutions to those problems.
I think one of the key pieces here is that we are all just so grateful to have been selected. It was an application process, and so we all come from different areas of expertise and organizations that have helped us to arrive in Tromso at the conference. The emerging leaders provided such a phenomenal platform to get together and to learn from each other.
Personally, I'm thankful to my funders who have me here, but I'm also recognizing that everyone else who was on the panel were paid. I am here on a volunteer basis. I have my costs covered, but I still have to take my time away from my full-time studies to be here and to represent youth voices without pay and without recognition. Too often youth are passed off as it's a great opportunity for you to learn and to have your voice. It's not an opportunity. We deserve to be here and we should be here.
The Arctic belongs to all of us in so many ways. It's a part of our world. It may seem far away, but it's essential. In fact, regulating our climate, for instance. It's vast, it's fascinating, there's so much interesting stuff going on there. The scientific research potential of the Arctic is amazing, and it really is the property of all people kind in that way. So we should all care about our Arctic.